further in we have the brake mechanisms, and so these brake mechanisms are independent of each other but controlled simultaneously through the transfer of air. The air does two things for the brakes on a tractor. One, it releases the spring found in the rear half of what's called the maxi chamber or the brake chamber. That spring is the park and brake mechanism that keeps the brakes applied when there's no air to it. So this truck right now, the brakes are applied. I can see the wear mark indicating that the brakes have been moved out and that the brakes are applied. That is being applied solely by a spring within the brake chamber. Once the driver wants to move, he pushes a button in on the dash, which will show you when we move to the interior of the truck. Once he pushes that button in, it transfers air to the back of this brake chamber, which compresses the spring and releases the brakes. The brakes stay in that mode until the driver hits the brake pedal. When he hits the brake pedal, a second transfer of air occurs into a different chamber of the brakes and applies the brakes by pushing this rod out and turning this adjusting mechanism to apply the brakes through an S-cam system. So what does all that mean? What that means is if the brakes are out of adjustment, the push rod has to travel too far, the braking action is delayed solely due to the amount of physical room that the push rod has to travel through. So during a circle check, the driver is responsible to examine these adjusting mechanisms to make sure they're within the specification of the law. And you can see that that would be quite a difficult chore, especially since I'm presently talking to you from where the trailer would be connected. If the trailer's not connected, he can visually see these. He cannot visually see the ones in front of this location and would require the driver to actually travel underneath the truck. And so we're going to do that right now.